Alright, this is you. So, good things. Your head position is very steady, so you're not lifting your head when you turn to breathe. You are lifting it a little, but it's not bad at all. And your body position is pretty good. Your hips and your legs are relatively high in the water, which means that you stay in a mostly streamlined position. The more streamlined you are, the less drag you create and the faster you go through the water. Your extension with both arms is pretty good. Could be better. And the extension is when you're reaching forward. So when you reach forward, you really want to like hyper extend or really stretch out your lat. And then as soon as you just really can't stretch any further, that's when you start to pull. That does take practice. Flexibility is a good thing. Now, one thing I'm noticing is that when you're reaching forward, you are pausing. And when you pause, like right here, that's going to cause some slowdown, or you'll lose momentum. You'll keep forward momentum with the kick or with the momentum you've already created. But when you have a pause like that where there's neither arm is pulling you forward, then you're just not going to swim as fast as you would otherwise. So what you want to do is not have a pause like that. You want to reach as far forward as possible. And so now you've sped up here. This is a little more like the timing that I would go for. All right, and then you're back to the normal pause there. So that's one of the big things on the above water view. So basically increasing your turnover rate by continuing to reach forward but just not pausing. So from this view you get a good idea of your streamline, so you can see what are your legs doing. You have that one leg, it's the left leg kicks out a little bit. I call that a scissor kick when your right arm is extending forward. It doesn't happen all the time, but that will create a bit of extra drag as well. It's sort of a counterbalancing thing. Your arm recovery is good. Arm recovery is the out of water portion of the stroke. And the line that you're pulling with your arms looks pretty good from this view. You may be pulling under your body a little more than I would recommend, but it looked pretty good. Okay, so the underwater pull. So this is mostly what I refer to as a straight arm pull, meaning that your hand and your upper arm and your forearm stay mostly in the same plane when viewed from the side, so that your arm is basically pulling straight down and then pulling straight back. This is a strong way to swim. The problem with this way to swim, though, is that initial third of the stroke is really just pulling water down. It's not moving your body forward quite as much as I would like. That's where you get the early vertical forearm or the high elbow catch forearm that we discussed. That's where you enter the water, you extend forward, and then your shoulder rotates internally, your elbow rotates out or externally, and your hand and forearm adopt an angle that's vertical relative to the bottom of the pool, while your upper arm stays in front of your head or extended forward. Another thing I'm seeing with the right arm is that you're extending down a fair bit, so you could extend upwards a little more when you're reaching forward there. The reason being, if you extend down and then start your pull, you're most likely losing out on some water that you could pull above that spot. See how you're about a foot below the water, and then you start pulling back, whereas your left is a little higher. Body position there, you can go back and watch. The body position was pretty good. I don't see any real problems with your body position. So here we're trying to just work on the high elbow catch. So you can see you're actually losing power at the moment here because you're slipping through the water a bit as you're trying to change your stroke. That's all right. This takes some work. Other thing you don't want to do is when you finish the stroke, you don't want your left hand right here to pause at the finish of the stroke. So you want that hand to finish and then come right out of the water.
One arm drill. They're real good here.
Alright, so one arm drill. This is a really good technique drill as well as a strength builder.
Very good.
So the one arm drill, the catch up drill, and I think I showed you doggy paddle drill. Those are really great for working on the catch as well as pure swim strength. And I can see from above water here your elbow is leading the stroke back a bit. So what I'm talking about there is that when you initiate the pullback, instead of your hand and forearm angling down like vertical relative to the bottom of the pool, the elbow sort of leads the stroke back, where as your arm moves through the water, your elbow is moving with it. You want your elbow, when viewed from a standing position on the pool, you more or less want your elbow to stay in the same spot in the pool, and then you pull yourself past that point. So if I see your elbow coming backwards through the water, that means you're slipping through the water, or your hand is slipping. And here you have a series of still shots to show you what this looks like as you're pulling. So extended the arm down or forward. Now your forearm and upper arm are still in the same line, so that's what I'm looking at. And then pulling straight back together. So compare that to the article. I'll send you an email. Alright, and this is your left. So extending forward. And then you're starting to pull. And again, the forearm and the upper arm are in the same line. So that's a straight arm pullback. You can swim strong that way. There's just a better way to swim with the high elbow catch. So that's what I have you working on.